Hi everyone, it's Mark again, back to moan about the injustices being dealt to gamers. And this week I'm moaning about how fucking warm it is. No, I'm not really actually. I'm going to actually moan about region-specific game releases and why that shit is still going on. So is it just me, or do some companies still think we're actually living in 1997 and they can just fudge around the release dates and no one will notice? I mean, right now we are living in an internet age. You know what that means? It means I can go to any website out there right now, check out the latest trailers and information, and when that site tells me that this game is being released on a certain date, I kind of expect it to be released on that date. Some companies seem to think that people in the EU are completely closed off from the rest of the world and we wouldn't be able to find out this sort of information. I mean, some games can take actually up to about a year to be released over here, especially from companies like Konami. Their recent example being the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection, which they've been pimping for months and eventually got released like a week ago in the US. Most people expected that to be released worldwide at the same time, but no, they actually just announced the release date when it came out in the US and Japan. What kind of bullshit is that? Do you think that people in the UK won't buy Metal Gear Solid? What's going on there? Care to explain? Now, the worst example I can think of in recent memory would have to be for the game Anarchy Reigns, also known as Max Anarchy in Japan. Now, this game, when it was finished, was actually fully equipped for a worldwide release. Developer Platinum Games had put in a full English voice cast along with a Japanese one on the standard release. But when they handed it over to publisher Sega, they actually delayed the game by an entire 6 months. So what were the ramifications from this decision? Well, first of all, anyone who actually wanted the game just imported it from Japan, because it had full English voice cast, and I'm pretty sure it was region free on Xbox and PS3. The main problem with this is that the game is designed to be played online. So by the time the game actually came out in the UK and US, it was fully compatible to be played with the Japanese version. It's just that everyone had actually had the game for full 6 months beforehand, so nobody was playing it anymore. Servers were completely unpopulated. I mean, not only that, but Sega and Platinum actually had to discount the game down to a budget price upon release, just so that anyone would actually try and buy it, and maybe try and coerce people who had imported the game to buy it again. Now, this should stand as an example of how not to promote a game. Delaying that game by 6 months completely destroyed any chance they had of selling over here. All game publishers really need to step up and realise there is actually no barrier to information anymore. We don't have to go out and buy an issue of Nintendo Power to figure out what game we're going to buy for Christmas. It just doesn't happen like that anymore. Information is so freely available for this wonderful thing we call the internet. I can't believe I'm even saying this, but it seems to be the only people who do it right are the big bads, like EA. I mean, we shouldn't live in a world where we have to look up to them. That's just ridiculous. Now, to take this topic of region-based buffoonery even further, we have countries like Australia who outright ban or delay games based on their content. They actually have classification boards for their games much like we do, and the same thing they have for their movies, but they treat games extremely differently. I'm actually sick to death of hearing that video games are a bad influence on our children these days, when clearly it's the fault of the parents. Now, if you're going to be dumb enough to go into a shop and buy your child a copy of, say, Grand Theft Auto, then I think you're probably justifying the Australian government's decision that you're a buffoon who cannot be trusted to buy media that's designed for adults. So, that was this week's moan, or should I say this month's moan. Yeah, you got me. I failed at keeping up the schedule. So now it's a monthly thing. Yay! Well, don't forget to subscribe and like and share this with all your friends so you can all watch me fail at keeping up this schedule too. Right, now if you excuse me, I'm off to start a war fight.